morning, Matt.
Rick, what's happening, man?
How was Vegas?
It's awesome. I don't know if you know this, but we're gonna have 3 alloys in Vegas.
I know. Did you didn't have a chance to? Yeah, I know. You're like, guess what? I'm like, I think I closed that deal, but that's okay. Yeah, no, we're psyched about that. That's going to be awesome, and that gives me another reason to go there. And I haven't been to Vegas in years. I'm going for Frank Nash, my buddy's wedding in the fall.
Oh yeah, Frank Nash.
So how was the scene? Did you go out by the pool and?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was hotter than I'll get out, and it was August, but there's people everywhere, and it seemed like old Vegas to me.
Oh, that's cool.
Still partying. Can't stop that, man.
Did you make any TikTok videos out by the pool?
No, but there was this, there's crazy people. It's Vegas, right? And there's literally this one guy off into a corner, and he's just dancing, and everybody's just staring at him. And I was like, I guarantee he's making a TikTok.
Right. Where's his phone? He's making a TikTok.
I mean, it had to be, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, it's interesting that people just do, we'll bust out a video like in the middle of the street or wherever, and they just don't care.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how to make a TikTok.
Yeah, listen, I'm pretty sure I could figure it out. Our marketing company's like, hey, that's where things are headed, and download the app. And I was trying to avoid it because it's just such a time suck, right? But I downloaded it, and it is pretty compelling. Like, there's good stuff on there as well as just ridiculous stuff. But it's the way that they just pump one video after the next. It's pretty compelling. It's a fun platform to consume. Complete waste of time, as you can imagine. But there's a lot of eyeballs on it. So you could see where, obviously through the lens of marketing for franchising, there's some cool stuff we could do on there.
So is it happening? Be like a TikTok master here?
Yeah, I've been working on my dance moves a lot, and I think I've got couple of the dances down. So I'm going to run them by you off air if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a dry run, and then we'll go live.
Okay,
next
rock
week.
on.
So if tune in next week for Rick and Matt's TikTok debut videos.
Okay, here we go.
You heard it here first. And then and that made me think, the dancing thing. So did I tell you I got a new mattress?
No, that's not something that came up.
Yeah. Well, I got a new mattress.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
purple. It. What is it? I don't know.
No, we had one of those mail order mattresses, and it was a Casper.
Yeah.
And we bought like the Mac Daddy. This is probably 5 years ago, and that thing was hard as a brick. And I thought I was like, all right, I need a firm mattress. Like, I'm that guy who could sleep on a mat on the floor, right? But I'm not, as it turns out. And every time I would go out of town and stay in a hotel, I would actually sleep better, and I'd be less stiff in the morning if I slept in a softer bed. So I was like, all right, we need to get rid of this mattress. And Andrea is feeling the same way. She's like, we both wake up, and it's like we're 400 years old. It's like, you know what I mean? And it would take me like 10 minutes to get rolling. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I could hop out of bed in front of a hotel bed, and I'm good to go, right away. So we went to the other end of the spectrum and got this super soft mattress, which I'm not sure that was the right idea. I think we're still in the window, but we bought it like it's a traditional box spring mattress from a mattress store.
How much that run you? Like $5,000.
Yeah, those things are, it's expensive. It was probably 3 times the cost of our, like, in a box mattress. But it is nicer, I have to say, but it's almost too soft. Like, I can't even roll over. It's like I'm lying in a giant mattress fajita or something. Or tortilla, I should say. That's what it feels like. It just folds up around you, so you're stuck in the same position all night.
You probably need one of them Tempur-Pedics now, don't you?
The up and downs and all that. Yeah, that's not very nice to say that. Right? Yeah,
different firmnesses on both sides.
Well, we're in twin beds already, so sure, we got that lamp in between.
Do you push them together at night, or
on Saturdays? If I'm lucky.
Yeah,
attaboy. So we've got another buddy of mine who's here at the gym. That he's got a king bed, but it's a split king. So he does have the separate up and down platforms. So it is literally like 2 twin beds pushed together. But that way each person can have their own mattress style and firmness, and then they can each lift
you're
them
on
up
your
and
way,
down.
man. That's
it
your
does
next
sound
one.
like it. I know, because each time you go further, you're like, that's a good idea. I could be in here watching, TV while the missus is sitting next to me knitting.
I'm a 7.
Right.
I'm a 4.
Right. That's what it feels like. Right now I couldn't get over to her if I had to, because I'm literally stuck in this giant mattress tortilla, and I can't get out of it. Like, getting out of the bed is almost like a army move.
You're going to create a crater, and your things will be gone in a year.
Yeah, I know. Oh, well. Hopefully they don't go to the landfill. Hopefully
we're actually talking just keep going off topic here, but we're actually talking the other day at the gym about bringing water beds back. I bet you had a water bed at one time.
I never did have a water bed.
Yeah,
I remember staying at a friend's house that had one, but it wasn't plugged in and it was in the winter. And I swear to God, I almost froze to death because it was like sleeping on a frozen lake on a really thin raft. It was so cold.
You get in those things, you can't get out.
Yeah. You sit up and then it just sinks your butt, goes right to the bottom.
Do they even sell those anymore? I don't know.
Whatever. I can't imagine those are good for you. You roll over and everybody in the bed's like getting rocked, like get seasick. I never had one of those. I'm not a waterbed guy. If you even though
you look like a waterbed in a lava lamp kind of guy.
In November when I grow my mustache out, I could be a waterbed guy, but I only do that in certain times of the year. Surprisingly, I'm not a leather couch waterbed kind of dude. Did you ever see that Seinfeld?
Yes.
Threesomes. He's like, I'm not a threesome guy. I don't have a mustache. I can't do it. I don't have a leather sofa. I can't do this, So it's me.
Yeah. I can see it.
Hey, do you want to talk about some business today?
Sure. This is one of the good ones, guys. I don't have no idea what we're talking about today.
It's pretty much the same as every other time. This is no different than any other time, just to let you guys know. Acts like he's in the know. You know what we're going to talk about?
No, what we got?
We are going to talk about the 3 traits that you need to be a successful franchisee.
Oh, cool.
And I think a better way to say this would be the 3 traits that you need to be a successful entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that I completely stole this concept from Hermosi, a buddy of mine, right, who pumps out a ton of pretty relevant content. I mean, he does a great job with it, honestly. And I was listening to something, and he popped up on my feed and was talking about these character traits. And I was like, I think his were through a different lens, but I'm like, wow, that makes a ton of sense. Made me think about how those types of character traits would apply to franchisees. And I think ultimately it's important for me to be able to articulate this for candidates to understand, like maybe they can see through their lens, or, am I this person, the self-evaluation? And then we can also use it as a lens for us, right? Like, does the person possess these 3 things? Mm-hmm. So it's really 3 traits. So the first one is, do they have the right character? And what I mean by that, and you'll understand this, Matt, is that they have to be a decent person. Right? Like if you think about certainly franchising, right, it's a partnership. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this. If somebody comes to the table with a lot of money, but we go out to eat in a restaurant and they're rude to the server, that's a no-go. Like I don't want that person in our brand. And I would say that if you're that person, you may be successful for a short period of time as an entrepreneur, but you're probably going to burn a lot of bridges, right? Mm-hmm. And hurt a lot of people in the process. So unless you're in a company that is predatory by nature, some weird, subprime lending company or something like that, Dirty Money, you've seen some of those episodes, right? It's like, you can make money and be a jerk, but I would say to be a successful entrepreneur, especially over the long haul and stay out of jail, right, that you're going to have the right character. And part of that character also is, are you willing to work hard, right? Are you willing to follow systems? Are you willing to recognize that if you have some shortcomings personally, those will be manifested in your business, like it or not. Like if you're not a people person, you're probably not going to hire the right people, right? If you're not a nice person, you're probably not going to be able to fake that authenticity and hire nice people, because remember, we're in the service business. So you're going to hire people that can make other people happy and are service minded. Mm-hmm. If you're not that way at all, it's going to be a stretch for you, right? I mean, it's kind of the old, are you the person that you're looking for is looking for? Meaning, you're going to be a reflection, or your employees are going to be a reflection of you ultimately, right? Are they nice folks ultimately? And then other character traits, can you work hard? Can you do hard things? Can you keep things in perspective? Because entrepreneurship, it's not as difficult as some make it out to be, but it's certainly not as glamorous as Instagram would make it out to be, right?
Yeah, sure.
There's lots of tough days and decisions that have to be made that affect people. And so you just have to have the right character going in. So first of all, do you have the right character? Do you agree?
No, absolutely. I mean, especially if they're going to be anywhere in the business at all, right?
Yeah, if you're working in the business, it goes without saying. But even if you're investing and you have to put a team together, you still have to have the right character to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Second would be skill set. So first character, second skill set. And skill set would be just, do you have knowledge of the space that you're working in? Now, I think if you're just going to be a one-off entrepreneur like Matt's Gym or something, you have to have a deep knowledge of the working parts of a business, meaning you have to know marketing, you have to do real estate, you have to do construction of your space, you have to know how to run your demographics correctly. You have to understand how to pay people and why and what pay scales make sense. You have to understand marketing, obviously, sales. You have to understand service on the back end and retention. There's a lot that goes into it. Now, what I will say about Skillset for franchising, since that's what we're doing, is that the bulk of the things I just mentioned are already handled by the franchise.
Right.
That's the great thing about Skillset. So where your skill set will come in handy as an entrepreneur in a franchise situations is, can you read a profit and loss statement? Like, do you understand basic numbers? Because even though in our position, we do most of the heavy lifting around all of these things, you still need to understand the concepts of those things,
sure.
right? So let's say that you are a personal trainer who hates business and doesn't ever look at a spreadsheet. It's like, okay, that's probably an area that if you're going to be an entrepreneur or even a franchisee, you're going to need to upskill yourself a little bit. Now, you don't have to be a ninja, right? But you at least have to understand concepts about finance, rent, right? Because you're going to be signing a lease. Even though we do the heavy lifting, you have to approve it, right? You have to approve the letter, the letter of intent. You have to approve the lease stuff. And so you're being coached through it, but you just have to be prepared to upskill yourself, at least to understand. But you don't have to know it all. And that's a tall order if you think about it. Like, you have to know how to build an archetype for a customer before you can even decide where to put it. And then you got to figure out what real estate works best for your type of customer. That's pretty difficult, right? And all those gaps for us are already filled in, all the way down to like what kind of workout works with a really person that's really unfit,
right?
Along with somebody who's really fit. Like, how do you make that work? Well, we've already solved all that for you.
That's why you get in a franchise, right?
Well, exactly. You're buying a turnkey,
I don't
proven,
have to figure all that out.
100%. You're buying a turnkey, proven business system, right? So Skillset, second one, I would say franchising gives us 80% of the skills needed to do that. So it kind of takes care of that. And the last one, and probably most important, are your belief systems. And your belief systems have to do with how is it that you see yourself in the world, maybe how you see yourself fitting into the world, and a lot of this has to do with your background and your upbringing. Like, if you look at me as an example, I mean, I didn't grow up with, tons of advantages, meaning I wasn't from a wealthy family, but my dad was sort of this gunslinger entrepreneur, right? He always was putting something together. And towards the end of my young adulthood, while still living at home, he started doing really well, right? But it took a long time. But I was still able to see risk-taking, being your own boss, right? And how fruitful that could be, even from a satisfaction standpoint, right? So I had that lens. A lot of people don't have that, right? I mean, if say you're my age as an example, which would be, quite honestly, our customer avatar somewhat fits our franchisee avatar because, again, people with money are in a better position to buy a franchise just like they are to pay for personal training.
Sure.
So someone like me might have had a parent who worked for the man their whole life, got the gold watch and the pension retirement and rode off into the sunset. And they were told all the time, like, you're lucky to have a job. Just go in and do this and do that. And it's like, oh, now my kids' generation are like, oh no, you just do what you want. Again, you open toys on YouTube, right? And I think that's cool. It's like, there's different economies and different trends. But I would say that you have to have a belief system that aligns with being an entrepreneur. What I mean by that is you have to believe that you can do it. So here's some scenarios that we've run into. We might run into someone who's like a controller in a mid-sized company and they're making a couple $100,000 a year. And that's a great living. And they've got risks. So they've got kids at home. Maybe they've got a kid or two in college and a couple of kids that are still at home, right? So if everything else lines up, if they're the right character and they understand that we will provide them with 99% of the skill set, and then they do validation and all the things line up for the franchise, the only thing left is, do they think they can do it, right? Do they have a belief system that aligns with being an entrepreneur? And it's a little bit of I think it's Henry Ford, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so I'm just surprised sometimes at folks with a really high level of education. Through my lens, they've perfect character, skill set, check. They're kind of a consumer of fitness, like they just like fitness. So they've got a deeper knowledge out of just interest than most, which is like a huge plus that covers even more of that little gap, that and then it's belief systems, and that's where they drop the ball. So I'd say if there's a tripod, that leg tends to come up short mostly just because folks they just don't believe they can do it. And there's some weird thing. Maybe they've always worked for a big company and there's some perceived security there.
Just risk adverse fear. I mean, if my wife, for example, she would, be scared to death. if anything, she's got to change jobs. She's scared to death. I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh, she's not listening to
what
this.
you want? Oh, she's never going to listen to this.
You're on it. That's right. I forgot. You're actually on here. So
Yeah.
she doesn't need to.
But I mean, it totally makes sense. Another thing I would, we kind of touched on was just you probably have to be really coachable, right? I mean, we kind of went around that, but have you ever had anybody on the phone? They're just like, I got my way. I know how to do this. I got this.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I didn't think of it that way, but that's also a belief system.
Right.
Like, do you believe that you already know it all? And I mean, in our organization, that's like a kiss of death.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you say things like, well, we've always done it this way, that's like grounds for getting kicked out of this place. You know what I mean? Because, that's one of our core values, right?
Mm-hmm.
So embrace change. It's like, all right, we'll drive change really. So we're not only looking for change, but we're not only accepting of change, we're actually looking for what's next, and it's the old bullets before cannonballs, right? Where we're always firing things out to test new ideas and new concepts. And if we ever ping a few bullets off the hull, then we'll pour some more gunpowder in the cannon and shoot a bigger ball over there and see if we knock something down, right? But if you don't believe that you can learn and you think that you already know everything, so this might be the person that, they come to the table with some industry experience, or they come to the table from the technical side, like a coach. And it's like, well, I don't want to do all that. Like, I already know everything. That's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it would be if you lack the self-confidence to bet on yourself, as opposed to that company that you work for, which, by the way, I don't know if you've paid attention over the last 20, 30 years, like there's no security in that either.
No.
Right? It feels good. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. So you've got, are you the right character? And these are things we're looking for. But I would say, you guys, even if you're an independent owner, these are the things that you should think about before you open a business. And if you have a business, maybe there's some areas you can improve upon. Are you of the right character? Meaning, do you make good decisions with your customer's best interest and your team's best interest in mind?
Yep.
Again, the business is there to solve a problem. It's not there to serve as a vehicle for your neurosis, right? Second, do you have the right skill set?
Mm-hmm.
And so franchising, if you're going franchising, we're going to take care of 99% of that. I said 80 before. I guess my percentages seem a little off, but let's bump that to 99.99%. It's like an infection rate almost, right? I don't even know.
All right.
Matt's like, no. I'm like, no, I'm not even saying that. I'm just poking fun at us as a society. So, skill set, I'd say if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a skill set, as you heard earlier, there's a lot of things that you need to put your ducks in a row. So go find help for that, or, buy a franchise.
Yeah. And also, like, if you don't have that's a lot of stuff, but you at least have to understand or know that you don't. And know that we can help you find that and, get you on the way.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you already do that? Wow, this is amazing. And that's usually what we get, right? And then lastly, most importantly, again, is your belief system. So you've got to, sometimes to get out of a framework that you've been operating within mentally for 20 years or 30 years, you're going to have to break your beliefs around those structures and those walls that you've been working within, right? You're going to need to put a new lens on, maybe on your whole life, to be able to do this. But there's no doubt that it's rewarding if you can do it. If you can break your belief systems and move into a new prism or what have you, you're going to be better off. There's tons of research to support that. Yes, you work hard when you work for yourself, but you're infinitely more happy than if you're stuck in like a big corporate organization with a top-down heavy, structure to it. So anyway, that's it. Just thoughts on what we look for. And maybe thoughts for anybody that's a candidate of Alloy or who is an entrepreneur or maybe thinking of becoming an entrepreneur. Those are the 3 traits I think are going to be most important for you.
Yeah. Great stuff.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.
You.